Hello friends, welcome to Kalyani IS Academy. I will teach you in Mains Unit 1st and Unit 2nd of Part B of Paper 2nd. And today we will discuss what is our new syllabus, what is the difference between old syllabus and new syllabus, and third, which new topics have been included in our syllabus and which old topics have been excluded or removed from our syllabus, and what would be our strategy to prepare for the mains examinations. So let's start. See, to get maximum marks in the examination, in the mains examination, you must have quantity of knowledge or quality of knowledge. Here quantity of knowledge means that on a particular topic how much study material or how much information you must have. For an example, that there is a banking sector and you know that banking sector is very wide, but here syllabus will guide you how much to study and what to study. So we will follow the syllabus, and whatever is mentioned in syllabus, that will be widely covered by us. So here syllabus will tell us what to study on a particular topic and how much to study on a particular topic, right? And we will follow for this the syllabus of our mains examination, right? Next is the quality of knowledge. Here refers for the your answer writing skills. See, generally you study for mains examination and you write in the examination generally, then definitely you will get average marks. But while preparing your knowledge or while completing your syllabus, if you focus on particular things, for an example, that if you learn how to present a particular topic through bullets, through pie chart, through table, and if you learn what are the keywords, or we can say that word selection, what are the keywords of a particular topic, and also if you are able to complete within word limit, if you are able to complete a complete answer within a word limit, then this would be very best for you, right? So while preparing for your mains examination, if you focus on your word limit, your presentation part, and your keywords, or we can say that word selection, then definitely your mains preparation will be rocking. And I will teach you quality of knowledge and quantity of knowledge both, and definitely if you will prepare with me, then definitely your preparation will be rocking and you will get maximum marks in the examination, right? Now we will understand. See, we will study paper second, and in paper second we will study part V, and in part V the unit first, which deals with the Indian economy, right, and unit 2 is related to Madhya Pradesh economy. Here you need to understand one particular thing. See, previously in old syllabus, the Indian economy and Madhya Pradesh economy was mentioned in paper 3, but in the new syllabus the Indian economy or the Madhya Pradesh economy is mentioned in paper V. So earlier it was in paper 3, but now this time it is in paper 2nd, right? Second thing is that in paper 3 it was in part V and having the weightage of 150 marks, right? So earlier the economy of Indian economy and Madhya Pradesh economy had a 150 marks weightage, but in the new syllabus the Indian economy will have the weightage of 30 marks and Madhya Pradesh economy will have the weightage of 30 marks, which means that in the new syllabus the Indian economy and the Madhya Pradesh economy would be of 60 marks, right? So the weightage in the new syllabus is the 60 marks. So right, so these were the two changes. Now the biggest and most important changes is here, right? As you know that in the previous examination there were 3 types of question, right? 3 marker question, then 6 marker question, and 15 marker question, and earlier you had to deal the 3 marker question with 30 word limit, 6 marker 100 word limit, and for 50 marker the word limit was 300 words. And here word limit tells us that on a particular topic and subtopic how much study material or how much information should we have. So here you need to understand that on a new syllabus the 3 marker question will be asked and you need to answer within 10 words or 1 line, right? And remember, if you have to answer within few sentence or few words, then definitely your word selection plays an important role. Therefore, in the new syllabus, we will focus on keywords of a particular topic, right? Next, 5 marker questions, right? 5 marker questions. So 3 marker. Now 3 marker, 5 marker and 11 marker. So the 3 marker question would be answered in 1 line. 5 marker questions should be answered in 5 to 6 lines, or we can say that 50 words, right? And 11 marker questions should be answered in 200 words. And here the maximum 11 marker question would be asked. So on a particular topic we must have minimum 2 words or maximum 250 words study material or information regarding topic and subtopic, right? So here now the question would be of 3 marker, 5 marker and 11 marker, right? So this was the information, most important information regarding our syllabus and the weightage of the questions, right? Now we will discuss the syllabus very briefly, right? Here I would tell you that in unit first, the unit first is related to Indian economy. So here the topic would be of Indian economy. See, so unit would be unit first would be related to Indian economy, and we will take a topic one by one and we will discuss it, right? So the first topic is that issues and initiatives in the field of agriculture, industry and services in India, right? This is a very broad topic in our syllabus, right? You need to focus here that the agriculture represents primary sector, industry sector represents the secondary sector, and services represent the tertiary sector. Therefore this topic is very wide, but here you can focus 2 things. First, issues and initiatives, right? We must focus on these 2 things, right? Which means that we have to understand, we have to study and prepare issues and initiatives of the agriculture, right? And I would tell you how. See, if we talk about agriculture, then there are input issues and there are output issues related to output, input. See, in agriculture the input means in agriculture the issues related to input are seeds, means usage of high yield variety seeds, then fertilizer, then pesticides, then weedicides, then mechanization of agriculture, then capital or credit, right? Credit and new methods, new technology in the agriculture. So these are the issues regarding input of the agriculture. And output, in output you know that APMC, Agricultural Produce Marketing Committee, then MSP, and you know that MSP and the formulas are in current. So the here question can be asked. So this is input related, output related issues, right? This is the first thing. And second thing is that here initiatives. You need to remember, if there is a issue in a particular topic, then definitely government would have solved it through many policies and many mechanisms, right? So in initiatives we will study like soil health card, right? To control the usage of urea, the soil health card scheme was launched, and now you know that MSP and the Farm Acts of 2020. So these are the initiatives taken by the government to solve the issues of agriculture. So in this way we will cover the agricultural syllabus very extensively, right? Firstly, we will understand what is the importance of agriculture in our Indian economy, features of agriculture, challenges of agriculture. Then we will take the issues one by one, right? Like issues and initiatives in the field of seeds, fertilizers, pesticides and weedicides, then mechanization, then credit and marketing. And we will study the separately the policies of Indian government like soil health card, what is the MSP, why it is in news, and the Farm Acts. Here MSP and Farms Act are in current, so B must focus and B would be focusing on these two topics, right? On the similar way we will study the industry sector, right? So there must have initiatives, issues and initiatives in the field of agriculture, industries here, right? So as you know that the issues of industries are low production, Indian products are not world class products, right? Then Indian units are converting into sick units, and we need to produce more, and India means Modi government wants to India as a manufacturing hub, right? So these are the issues in the industries, right? Low production हो जाएगा, फिर lack of research and development हो जाएगा, lack of research and development, lack of capital, low production, and the Indian products are not world class level. So these are the issues of industries, and to solve these issues government had initiate many policies like to make India a manufacturing hub. Make in India program have been started, right? Skill in India, Startup India, right? So these and also these policies would be studied very widely, right? And also as you know that the MSME sector is fighting for the lack of capital. Therefore this year the government has changed the definition of MSME, micro, small and medium enterprises. So the definition has been changed so that these units could get the capital or loan very swiftly. So we will study the industries, issues and initiatives. In the same way we will study services, right? Here as you know that there are many issues regarding services, like we can say that transport, our infrastructure and roadways are not world class, and the infrastructure is very low, lack of research and development. Then communication in the field of banking, in the field of insurance, right, and tourism, right? So the issues regarding transportation, communication, tourism, right, would be studied by us, and the initiatives taken by the governments like to improve the railways, roadways, the national pipeline project, right? NIP, National Infrastructure Pipeline Project, was initiated by government, and in which between 2020 to 2025 the government of India would spend or invest more than 100 lakh crores in the economy that would develop the infrastructure in India. So in this way we would study the issues and initiatives in the field of services would be studied. So this was our first topic, which was very broad, right? Now second topic is measurement of national income, right? Here you need to know, understand that the economic growth see, economic growth is indicator. So here at first, so see, to understand the national income, firstly we will study the economic growth, what is economic growth and what is economic development, and difference between economic growth and economic development. Then we will study the indicators of economic growth like GDP, right, NDP, फिर GNP and NNP, right? After that we will study GDP at factor cost, and we will study NDP, GNP, NNP at a market price. Then we will study what is the relation among these four, and using these four how can we get our national income or per capita income. So we will study the indicators. Then we will see how is economic growth is measured through national income or per capita income, right? So at first we will study the indicator, then measurement of economic growth through national income and per capita income. And here our topic is how to measurement of national income. As you know that there are three methods to measure national income, right? Input method, output method and production method, and we will study these three methods one by one. How we can calculate national income using production method, means what are the difficulties to measure national income using production method and how can we remove them. So merit, demerit, how can we calculate, or the difficulties regarding calculating the national income would be studied by is in paper means topic second, right? Now we will discuss the topic 3, which is related to RBI. Here, see, in topic 3, at first we will study the functions of RBI and commercial banks. As you must understand here that the functions of RBI are very different from the functions of commercial banks. At first we will study what is the RBI and functions of it, like issue of currency, means issue of currency as a central bank, banker of banking system, right, and monetary policy of the RBI. So these will be the functions of RBI. Then we will study the functions of commercial banks, bankings. ठीक? So commercial banks, the functions of commercial banks are like accepting savings, then investing into means investing it in the market through investment, right, financial inclusion and branch expansion in the rural area. So these types of functions of commercial banks and RBI would be studied. After that we would study separately the financial inclusion, right? Here you need to understand there is a relationship between liquidity and economic growth in the market. Why it is so? Now you need to understand. See, if liquidity is enough or liquidity increases in the market, then that leads to the inflation or economic growth. Why? Understand, if there is enough liquidity in the market, then the cheap loans would be available in the market, and that will be leads to the cheap loans will be available in the market, that will result in the establishment of new industries, that will result in generating the employment, and in this way the growth rate will be increased. But if there is a lack of liquidity in the market, then there will be lack of investment, then the new industry would not be established, the employment generation would be very low, and there would be a low economic growth, right? Also, if there is a liquidity, if liquidity excesses, then this will lead to the inflation, and it will create many problems for the society. So therefore, to control the economic growth, means to coordinate between economic growth versus inflation, RBI makes a monetary policy, and through quantitative and qualitative tools it controls the economic growth as well as the inflation. So now this time, as you know that because of the corona pandemic, the inflation rate has reached above 6.6 percentage, and according to FRBM the inflation rate between 2 percentage to 6 percentage, and RBI has to answer for that. Therefore here the monetary policy is making an important role here. See, I have underlined it, but actually I was talking about the monetary policy. So as you know, as you have understand the importance of monetary policy, so the monetary policy of RBI would be studied very widely and extensively, right? Now financial inclusion, right? We would study also financial inclusion. See, what is the financial inclusion? Financial inclusion is the process through which the low income group, or we can say that middle income class, low income class and middle income class are connected to the financial institutions like banking, insurance, loan and investment. See, because of the illiteracy and lack of information in rural areas and different parts of our country, many people in our country are not taking the advantage of banking sector, insurance, loan and investment services. Therefore, through financial inclusion, means through many policies and mechanisms, these low income class and middle income class would be connected to formal banking system or formal financial system, or we can say that will be included in or connected in banking, insurance and loan system, right? So these are the three topics, 3 points in topic 3: the functions of RBI and commercial banks, financial inclusion and monetary policy, right? Now we will discuss the topic 4, which is here characteristics of a good taxation system, right? So at first we would study what is a taxation system, right? What is the taxation system, and we will study the types of taxation system, as you know that progressive tax, right? Proportion test. So progressive tax system, proportion taxes system. What should be the characteristics or features of what are the characteristics or features of good taxation system? Also we will study the direct and indirect taxes, right? So the taxes, characteristics of a good taxation system, and direct and indirect taxes we will study. Here, as you know that the government also plays an important role in economic growth, right? How? See, the government through taxation, public expenditure, and public debt, right? Public debt, public expenditure, and through taxation, government also plays an important role in economic growth, price stability, control of liquidity in the market. Here, through the taxation, government also controls the liquidity and price stability, controls the inflation also. How? See, if there is a high liquidity in the market, right? If there is excess liquidity in the market, then what will government do? Government will increase the tax rate, and when the tax rate will be increased, then the liquidity will be sucked through the taxation system, right? And when there is, see, to control inflation, I will write here to control inflation. If inflation is greater, then government will increase the tax. Therefore, the excess liquidity will come to the government and inflation will come down, right? in the same portion, if there is a lack of liquidity in the market, then what will government do? Government may increase the public expenditure, right? For an example, that because of corona there is a lack of liquidity in the market, therefore everybody is talking that government should increase the expenditure through Maganrega program, right? Or we can say that national pipeline project, national infrastructure pipeline project. And if government will increase its public expenditure, then definitely many jobs would be created, demand will increase, that will lead to economic growth, right? So through fiscal policy, right, here fiscal policy, we can say that the fiscal policy is also part of this. So through fiscal policy, right, taxation system, government controls the economic growth, price stability, inflation, etc., etc., right? Now we will study, so we have understand the characteristics of good taxation system and fiscal policy, right? Direct and indirect taxes. Now we will study subsidy, right? See, subsidy, we will study what is subsidy, types of subsidy. Like for an example, according to provider, central government also provides subsidy, then state government also provide subsidy, then based on distribution, direct subsidy or indirect subsidy, right? So subsidy, direct subsidy, indirect subsidy, subsidy by central government, state government, in the field of social subsidy, right? For an example, that in social subsidy, education subsidy and health subsidy, right? In economical subsidy, which means that agricultural subsidy means fertilizer subsidy and mechanization subsidy, subsidy in religion, subsidy in other fields. So this topic is related, the subsidy topic is related to agriculture sector, service sector, also the industry sector and social sector also. And we will study one by one, means which type of subsidy is provided in social sector, economic sector and religious sector or any other sector of our economy. And we will study what are the merits of subsidy and demerits of subsidy and how is this important for our society. So this would be studied by us, right? And now we will study the topic which is related to subsidy is cash transaction, right? What is cash transaction? See, cash transaction is directly related to subsidy. Why? For an example, as you know that government provides food grains through PDS system, right? And government subsidize the food grain. For an example, if you will purchase a wheat in the market, then definitely you will get 20 rupees per kg, right? 20 rupees per kg. But if you will purchase, if a particular person purchases wheat through PDS system, then definitely he will get 2 or 3 rupees per kg because the government subsidizes that grain, right? Now what is the problem? The problem is about the leakage, right? What is leakage, right? You know that the food grains are subsidized, or we can say that through the PDS system, the food grains are provided to BPL card holder, or we can say that beneficiaries, BPL card holder beneficiaries. But the problem is that the actually beneficiaries who does not have any economic sustainability and who lacks, means who is poor, unemployment, who does not have the BPL card, right? And the person who is very prosperous or rich and have a prestige in the society, but because of the means corruption, he has BPL card. Therefore the food grains or the subsidy is converted to in the market through the leakage. And as you know that once Atal Bihari Vajpayee told in the parliament that if I send 1 rupees or 100 paisa from the center, then it will be a 25 paisa to a particular beneficiary. It means that 75% जो 75 पैसा that will be leakage because of corruption. And to remove this problem, the crash transaction started, right? How? See, now this time, as you know that whether it is LPG subsidy, right? Whether it is LPG subsidies, or we can say that in the corona times 500 rupees per a woman, or we can see that scholars in the field of education, or any other agricultural subsidy, these subsidies are directly transferred to the bank account. Where? Bank account. And what will happen? Bank account are attached to Aadhaar card, and in this process the leakage would be minimized. That's why at the present times the cash transactions are being improved by the government, so that the corruption or leakage in our system would be minimized. So here cross transaction means the subsidy of LPG, kerosene in the field of agriculture, education, all these subsidies would be transferred directly to the beneficiaries, DVT, right? So we will study what is the DVT, merits and demerits of DVT schemes. So these 5 chapters, these 5 topics we have studied, right? So we have studied topic 4. Okay, now we will study point 5. Understand, right? Point 5 is related to public distribution system. So as I told you that in this chapter, in this topic we will study what is public distribution system, means what is the public distribution system, and what are the merits of public distribution system, what are the demerits of public distribution system, right? And the challenges in public distribution system, how can we the leakage problem can be overcome in the PDS system. And as you know that because of corona pandemic, many workers returned to their home, and they were working in different states, and they migrated to their home, and this leads to a difficult problem, because as you know that through the PDS system food grains are provided to BPL card holder, and if a particular person, a particular beneficiary is from Madhya Pradesh and he is living in Bihar, then through his BPL card of Madhya Pradesh he cannot get in Bihar, means he cannot take benefit of PDS system in Bihar. Therefore at the present times, one nation, one ration card scheme is being improvement, right? Some states have enacted one nation one ration card scheme, some are working off it. So we would understand this topic means through current, means whatever is in current, and we will study the PDS system, right? Next is current trends. See, current trends here and challenges of Indian economy, right? If we talk about the trends, then you must know that the trends are of, see, the trends are of means we will study some general trends and we will study some current trends, right? As you know that in Indian economy, some general trends are Indian economy is shifting from the socialist oriented economy to capitalist oriented economy, or we can say that liberal economy. And second thing is that the share of agriculture in the GDP of India is decreasing, or we can say that our economy is shifting from agricultural economy or agrarian economy to the service economy, or we can say that the service sector has the maximum share in the GDP. So these are the current trends, but we will focus on the current trends, like as you know that because of corona pandemic, the V-shaped recovery. So we will understand what is the V-shaped recovery, Z-shaped recovery, V-shaped recovery, then national infrastructure pipeline project, then production linked incentive scheme, right, and Atmanirbhar Bharat package, right? So these types of trends would be studied by us. and also in the same way we will study the challenges also. Some challenges are general challenges and some are current, right? So general challenges, as you know that poverty is prevalent in India, unemployment, lack of industrialization, lack of capital. These are the general challenges, and some specific current challenges like corona pandemic, right? Corona pandemic, MS, means shutting down of MSMEs in our economy. Then problem of NPA is increasing, as you know that, right? Banking are collapsing, banks are being collapsed in India. So these types of challenges and trends, right, would be studied by us, right? Next, poverty, as you know that poverty and unemployment both has relationship, and because of them the regional imbalances would be studied by us. I think that you know very well. Poverty means in this topic we will study the types of poverty. Types of poverty, types of unemployment, and because of the poverty and unemployment, regional imbalances are occurring. For an example, see, poverty and unemployment. See, in rural area there is a lack of employment opportunities in rural areas. Therefore, the people are shifting because of poverty and unemployment in rural areas to cities, and therefore, as you know that will leads to the regional imbalances or migration. So these type of, what is the relation between poverty, unemployment, migration, and the currently trends like feminization of agriculture and masculization of market. These are interconnected, and we would focus on these things, right? So topic 5 we have understand. Now topic 6. See here, topic 6 is related to foreign. See, topic 6 is related to international trade. So at first we will understand what are the merits of international trade, what are the demerits of international trade, what is the balance of payment, right? And we will study balance of payment at current account, BOP at current account, then capital account. And if the BOP is not in the favor of in Indian economy, then how can we improve our export, or how can we overcome this problem? So all these will be studied in this topic. Next, role of foreign capital. As you know that the foreign capital means we get the foreign capital through two medium. The first medium is remittances. As you know that many Indian citizens are working in foreign countries, and they are sending back remittances, right? And we are exporting our goods and services to other countries. So through remittances or exports or investment, we get the forex, or we can say that foreign capital. Yeah, we can say that foreign exchange capital, or in other words forex. And as you know that if a country does not have a forex reserve, then definitely it will be difficult for that country to import crude oil and whatever the need is of that country. So in the simple words, if India have enough forex, that it will be very, very fine for us. But if India does not have forex reserve, then we will have difficulty in importing crude oil and healthcare activities and many financial. So whatever we require, raw material, so we would not be able to import from other countries. So to import we have to pay, and for that forex is required. For an example, that like European Union and USA, means these countries, or European Union or USA, these countries trade with India through dollar, or we can say USA trade with India through dollar, and if we does not have enough dollar, then we cannot import anything from America. Therefore, forex reserves are most important for us in the economic development. So here, role of foreign capital we will study. Then multinational companies, as you know that at this time Google, Twitter, Microsoft, Amazon, these are the multinational companies, right? And as you know that these multinational companies have many issues in our country, and these countries has many issues with the government, right? So what are the issues of these companies? Next, how the MNCs are contributing to our GDP, and third thing is that how the multinational companies are affecting the domestic companies of India, right? And what are the reasons of having so much multinational companies in India? It means that there is a lack of research and development in India. Therefore, many MNCs are working in India. So all these things would be understood in multinational companies, right? Next, foreign direct investment, right? As you know that if India has to grow, if India has to make if India has to be a manufacturing hub, then definitely investment is required, right? Investment is required. And if the economical situation, political situation, social situation and cultural situations are very well, then definitely the foreigners would invest in India. And if the foreign capital through FDI or foreign institutional foreign portfolio investment, if these through these the foreign capital comes to India, then definitely it would be very good for Indian economy, and that will leads to infrastructure development and demand in the society. So how and what should be the situation in our country to have a foreign direct investment, that would study in this topic, right? Next, import export policy, right? See, this is also a current related topic. As you know that we must have a import export policy, so that we could know. See, if we are importing, if we will import goods and services, then foreign capital burden will be increased. And if we export, then definitely our industries will improve and the growth rate will be improved. So if we have export and import policy, for an example, that how can we substitute our imports, means whatever we are importing, if we are able to produce at a domestic level, then that should be done, right? And for this, as you know that the production linked scheme, to India make a manufacturing hub, and to India to get the supply chain of the world or world class supply chain, the production linked in scheme, the production PLI production linked incentive scheme has been launched by the government. And also there are also many problems in export. As you know that many fruits and dairy products of India are because of the trade barrier or technical barriers, Indian goods and services are banned in India and in European countries, right? For an example, that many fruits of India are banned in the USA because of the some technical issues. So how can we overcome these issues? Therefore, to substitute the import and to increase the export, we must have a import and export policy, right? So these were related to international trade, role of foreign capital, multinational companies, and foreign direct investment, and import and export policy, right? Now we will study the Yes, we will study the international institution regarding the for international trade like IMF, World Bank, and ADB. As you know that IMF was established to eradicate the balance of payment problem. In the same way, World Bank to provide cheap loans to the member countries, and in the same way ADB. So here IMF, World Bank, and ADB has a much important role in world trade, right? And now we will see the regional groupings like ASEAN, SAARC, NAFTA, and OPEC. So these were the topics in 6 points. So in this way there are 6 points, or we can say that 6 topics are in our syllabus. But if B broad or B understand the one topic, then there are many dimensions. To get a good marks in the mains examination, we need to understand every dimension of a particular topic. Therefore, I have understood you very well that what would we study to prepare for the mains examination. I hope you have understood the unit first, and we have discussed the syllabus, all aspects, all dimensions of the unit first, right? Now we will discuss the syllabus of unit second. See, unit second is regarding the Madhya Pradesh. So we will study the Madhya Pradesh syllabus. We will discuss the Madhya Pradesh economic syllabus, right? Here, as you know that the this is the means we can understand that this is the apply portion. So first thing, the first topic is very broad, and we can understand. Firstly, we will study the major crops of Madhya Pradesh, means where these major crops are produced, which state produces the more crops. So the major crops of Madhya Pradesh like wheat, gram, soybean, cotton, etc. Second, holdings and cropping patterns. See, holdings means agricultural land holdings, और हिंदी में जैसे जोत कहा जाता है. If the land holdings is big, ठीक है, if land holdings very big, then it would be very easy to invest in the land holding, and that will lead to the production. And if land holding is very little, or we can say that low in size, then it will be difficult to invest, and that will lead to the lack of production, right? So we will understand the what is the definition of land holding areas, and what is the situation regarding Madhya Pradesh. After that, what are the cropping patterns in Madhya Pradesh, means in India. We will study the climatic regions, the cropping climatic regions in Madhya Pradesh, right? Third is that physical and social environmental impact on production and distribution of crops. So on distribution and production of crops, what are the environmental impact and physical impact, right? For an example, as you can understand that, see, if the climate increases, climate changes, then definitely it will have adverse effect on the production and distribution, right? Next, issue and challenges related with quality and supply of seeds, manure, farming practices, right? So the issues, this is also you need to understand. See, here we will study the issues and challenges regarding quality and supply of seeds. So this will be first topic. Then issues and challenges of quality and supply of manure, and issues and challenges regarding farming practices. So in this way we will study this topic. Next, issues and challenges of horticulture. First you need to understand the issues and challenges of horticulture, then poultry, then dairy, after that fisheries and husbandry. So you can understand the first topic is very broad, because as you know that this topic contains 5 subtopics. So issues, challenges of horticulture, second poultry, dairy, fisheries and husbandry, right? In the same way, we will study issues and challenges related agriculture, first agricultural produce, second transportation. So issues and challenges regarding transportation of agricultural produce, then storages, means are the warehouses in Madhya Pradesh enough, or regarding market. So we can say that whatever we will study the issues and challenges of Indian agriculture, in the same way we will study all these things, which crops and what are the issues, challenges regarding every agricultural means agricultural and allied sector. So this is the unit first, or we can say that, sorry, this is unit second and this is the topic first of unit second, right? Next, welfare schemes of agriculture, right? As you know that Madhya Pradesh is also an agricultural country, and half of the population of Madhya Pradesh is directly depend on agriculture. So to remove what are the challenges and issues in agriculture, government of MP have launched many schemes, and we will study the schemes of agriculture, right? Next, contribution of service sector. As you know that when our economy shifts from agriculture to service sector, then definitely it also shifts from underdeveloped to a developing, or we can say that developing economy to the developed economy. Therefore, if the service sector is performing very good in our economy, then our economy is also improving. So we will study about the contribution of services sector, means contribution of transport, communication, banking, insurance policies, etc., etc., right? Next, what are the infrastructure? So in its infrastructure we will study, means how many are there, the national highways, state highways in Madhya Pradesh, the waterways is, if it present, then airports, railway station and resources, right? Forest resources and natural resources of Madhya Pradesh we will study. Then demographic scenario of Madhya Pradesh and its impact on the economy of Madhya Pradesh, right? And as you know that the population, or we can say that the demography is of two types, right? First is working population and then dependent, right? 15 to 16, if somebody is between 15 to 16 year, then he would be counted as working population, because he is able to earn the money, right? And dependent, we count first boys, whoever is below 15 year and whoever is above 60 year, like old. So they are dependent on the working population, and here you need to understand, if the working population is exceeds then the dependent population, so it will be a good situation for any economy. And in Madhya Pradesh, if we talk about in MP, the working population is more than dependent population, and it is if we provide technical skill and if we provide employment to the working population, then definitely the economy of Madhya Pradesh will improve, right? Next, industrial sector growth trends and challenges. So we will understand the growth of industrial sector, what are the trends of Madhya Pradesh industrial sector, right? And what are the challenges of industrial sector of Madhya Pradesh, right? And next, availability of skilled human resources, varied trends of employment. So what are the trends of employment in Madhya Pradesh and availability of skilled human resources. So these were the topics which were related to MP, and you can say that in MP we have a specific topic. If we get if we get good facts, quantity data, means quantity data, then definitely it will be very easy for us to understand and write properly in the mains examination. So I hope you have understood now the syllabus or the syllabus regarding Madhya Pradesh, right? Madhya Pradesh economy. Next, I would tell you about the strategy. See, the strategy depends on a particular topic. For an example, that some topics are dynamic and some topics are non-dynamic in nature. If we talk about the economy, then economy is a very dynamic topic. If you cannot relate a particular topic with the current affairs, and if you don't mention the current issues in the mains, then definitely you will not get a good marks. Therefore, whatever topic you are studying as a static, so whatever study you in static portion, that should be related to, or you should relate to the current topic. Therefore, we need to study the current affairs related to our topics, and we need to complete the static portion also. Therefore, here first thing is that to get a good marks in this topic, we need to focus on current issues. And you don't worry, whatever I will teach, I will amalgamate or I will summarize every current topic in the static portion. So I will teach you static portion plus ka current portion both, so that you could understand the topic very comprehensively. So we will focus on current issues also and statics also, so you don't worry about that. We will prepare current issues also, right? Second thing is that understanding the concept like taxation, what is the financial inclusion, works of RBI, financial inclusion, monetary policy, fiscal policy. If you understand these topics clearly, only then you will be able to write whatever is asked in the examination. If you cram these topics, then if the question is somehow asked from the different point of view, then you won't be able to write. So therefore, you need to understand the concept very carefully, and we will focus on concept portion also. So first we will understand the concept, then we will focus on the current issues, right? Third thing is that latest data. As you know that when we will understand the current issues, and we will include the current data, because whatever you will write in the mains examination, your data should be latest, which means that we have to focus on the budget of national and Madhya Pradesh, and economic survey. Economic survey will play a most important role. So I will teach you the economic survey of India and economic survey of Madhya Pradesh also, right? And while studying, I will provide you quantity, and with quality I will also tell you how to complete this topic, how can present this topic through pie chart, flow chart, paragraph, table, right? And at last I will give you the model answers. See, whatever topic I will teach you, at the means end of the session, I will provide you some model questions, and if you will practice these model questions, then definitely you will be in a good situation to write answer in the mains, right? Now if we compare the old syllabus with the new syllabus, so here is the old syllabus. If you will see that there are 17. There were 17 topics in the old syllabus, but if we talk about the new syllabus, then there are 6 topics which is relating to unit 2nd, and 7 topics which is relevant to Madhya Pradesh economy, which means we can say that 13. In old syllabus there were 17 topics, but at present we have 13 topics, right? 6 topics from unit 1st and 7 topics from unit 7. And what I have done to understand what is included and what have excluded, I have summarized here, right? For an example, the first topic of our economy, Indian economy, is very big. The second, for an example, the causes of low industrial development, right? Third, here economic reform since 1991. Fourth, liberalization, privatization and globalization. 14, here importance of agriculture in the MP and Indian economy. And if we talk about 16, so we can say that the 2, 3, 4, 14 and 16 somehow related to the first topic of new syllabus. In the same way, the topic 7 is related to old syllabus, 7 topic and 3. Here the fifth topic is related to 17th and 15th topic, and poverty, unemployment, regional imbalance, which is the 9th topic as you there. Poverty, unemployment, regional imbalance and migration. So what am I trying to understand you that here this is the topic which is in our new syllabus, and here I am mentioning the topic number of old syllabus. So in this way you can understand the topic number 16, 14, 4, 3, 2. These were the old topics which are included somehow in topic first of the new syllabus, right? Also the topic number 7 is in topic second now. The topic third of old syllabus is in third in the new syllabus. Regarding, you can say that 17, 15, topic number 17 and 15 are included or amalgamate in 5th, and here 9. And so you can say that these were the topics which were included in our new syllabus. And if you talk about that which topics are newly added in our syllabus, then you can understand very clearly here. Topic 4 means characteristics of good taxation system, subsidies, cash transaction, fiscal policy. These are the new topics which were added to our syllabus. Also topic 7. So here 4th topic and 6th topics are the new topics in our mains examination according to new syllabus, right? And many of the syllabus, many of the topic have been removed also. Now we will discuss pre-syllabus also, so that you could correlate your syllabus with mains and pre also. So there are only 6 topics in the pre-syllabus Indian economy. So in pre you need to understand the types of Indian economy, the nature of Indian economy, features of Indian economy, challenges of Indian economy, right? Then industrial development, what were the industrial policies, right? And foreign trade, as you know that foreign trade, balance of payment, foreign capital, that would be studied in those, and import and export policy. So here if you understand very clearly, then these are very wide topic, right? Also in financial inclusion, institution, Reserve Bank, the establishment of reserve banks, functions of reserve banks, then nationalized banks and non-banking financial institution. What are the NBFCs and what are the roles of NBFCs? Then we will study SEBI and National Stock Exchange, right? So this is in our pre-syllabus. So I hope you have understand the syllabus of mains as well as the pre-examination. So we will meet with new topic in next lecture. Till then, thank you.